Mark Townsend, thank you very much for joining me today. We're here at Buckland Hall. This is the first Sharing Your Passion interview I've done at Buckland Hall, and very privileged and proud to be able to be here. And it's very convenient for you, I understand, because you live just up the road. For those of you who don't know, Mark is an ordained priest, he's an author, and he's also a magician. Now, I don't know about you, but this is, when I was fascinated, Mark, when I heard this combination. How did that combination of factors come in, you know, of attributes, if you like, come into your life?
First of all, Glenn, thank you for your welcome and for inviting me here. I love nothing more than exploring questions and talking about things in my life that have become important to me, because I think I often find connections with other people that maybe help me and help them. So I hope that happens during these few moments. Yeah, a lot of people say magic and religion, surely that can't possibly go together. But in actual fact, they do go together. They began together around the campfire thousands of years ago in shamanic cultures. The whole thing about magic, and when I use the word magic, I'm simply talking about magic as an illusion, tricks, if you like. Obviously, there are other kinds of magic, and I will, when I refer to those kinds of magic, I'll make that obvious. But when I'm saying magic and magician, I'm talking about the sort of things that we used to see Paul Daniels do on TV. All right. Yeah. So magic and religion, yeah. Well, they began, you know, even that kind of trickery magic began around the campfire with the shamans, because in ancient cultures, and even today in some parts of the world, shamanic cultures will be used to using or seeing illusions which are used not to deceive people, but actually to awaken people to healing or to other forms of magic, to the deep magic that runs through all things. And so if you go back far enough, religion actually came out of the magical experience. So they're very closely related.
Right.
I like to see them these days, obviously, some would say that that magic and religion are kind of polar opposites, but I like to see the two as pointing to mystery. Religion is a way that various cultures, various religions construct rituals, symbols in order to reach mystery. And magic is a way of using illusions to bring people into that experience of mystery and wonder. So to me, there's no disharmony, there's no contradiction. And yeah, I've used magic in that way for years and years and years. I was first ordained priest in the Church of England about 1996, and very quickly my hobby, which was magic, became part of my life as a priest. Partly because I discovered that it had such a potent power to speak in a way that words can't. You know, if you imagine a concept such as life, death, resurrection, which we get in Christianity, but also in all faiths, really. Yeah. What better way to explain that than by destroying something in front of someone's eyes and then having it reborn again, or to throw it in a fire, and then I wouldn't advise anybody to do this at home, but put your hand into the flames and pull out an egg like a phoenix or something, you know, and you can do that through illusion. So therefore you can use illusions to awaken people to the truths that religion tries to teach.
So in a sense, what you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, is that your magic is almost like a great metaphor for how we can, you know, have faith in not just the illusion, but faith in the outcome of the illusion. You know, is that how it works?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on a bit of a journey, and magic has changed over the years for me. It began very much as a way of doing precisely that, using magical object lessons in order to talk about spiritual truths. Another example, at a wedding, you're talking about two people becoming one. I used to join together two rings and give them as a gift. So it was, and they'd never be able to separate the rings, and hopefully that's the intention of what they're going through. So it's a literal symbol, a physical symbol of something that is happening emotionally and spiritually. All right. Now, as time's gone on, I've become much more aware that magic itself, that seeing illusions, even going to a magic show at a theatre and seeing somebody floating 12 foot in the air or something like that, it has a similar ability to, I mean, anybody who spends time looking through a telescope at the night sky, or wandering through nature and being bowled over by waterfalls or the beauty of a flower or something, that can stop you still and open you up to that world, the magical world, the enchanted world, if you like. Well, magic illusions can do the same, and they can open people up in such a way, I've come to believe, open people up in a very powerful way to the sort of magic that's happening all the time, but we're not used to seeing because we're so busy, our minds are over analytical. It almost awakens the right brain hemisphere, you know, the more intuitive, the more mystical, the more naturally artistic part of ourselves that very often, especially when you get to my age, we sort of, you know, we leave behind. And then amazing things happen. When I start even a secular magic show, when I'm invited to a theatre to simply entertain a group of 100 or 200 people for a night, and they, of course, they come expecting to see a magician who does things with rabbits and hats and all that sort of stuff. I do some of the stuff, some of the illusions, which maybe I'll get a chance to show later, and talk a little bit about synchronicity and about the magic that's happening all the time. And at the end of the show, more often than not, people come up to me and amaze me by what's been going on in their lives over that last hour, by the synchronicities, the connections that have been made. And I go away, more often than not, more amazed than the audiences that I'm paid to amaze. I find it absolutely mind-blowing and astonishing, and I'm very cautious about ever being certain about things and saying this happens, that happens, synchronicities happen, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they're just coincidences, I don't know, but they certainly happen a lot when people are in that opened state, that awakened state. So it's always a joy, you know. Again, some people say to me, you're a priest, surely you can't just do secular magic shows, surely you only, you know, you should only be going to retreat centres or you know, temples or churches to perform your magic. Well, in actual fact, I love nothing more than going to a restaurant or a wine bar or a theatre and simply doing entertaining magic, because people are not used to seeing magic in that way. They're used to being entertained, but they're not used to it having that kind of slightly mystical, spiritual side attached to it, which I always give it, because I think people are so delighted when they see it. Some people judge a magician by, especially close-up magicians around tables, they judge that magician by the applaud that they get when they leave the table. Well, I always like to leave people in tears rather than... I do, and I'm not saying... I do, because it happens, you know, it's a beautiful thing to see. I had an experience once where I was invited to perform a trick to a couple who were celebrating an anniversary. And I did a trick with cards, just a regular deck of cards. And I noticed on their table 2 raffle tickets. I don't know why, they just had 2 pink raffle tickets, a number 12 and a number 13. Now, for those who attach numerical values to playing cards, that's a queen and a king. Right. And pink or red tickets would, to me, symbolise a heart or a diamond. So I already was planning how I was going to get them to choose the king and queen of hearts, because I thought that would be a wonderful way to end their evening. And most magicians worth anything know how to force cards. They know how to get people to select certain cards, and if they don't select them, they'll manipulate it to happen. Well, actually, I spread out the cards in front of them, and I got them to choose 2 cards, and they turned them over, and they were the king and the queen of hearts. So I didn't have to do anything else. I just stepped away from the table. They connected to the raffle tickets they had, and they of course connected to the fact that they were celebrating their anniversary. And I just walked away and then looked back after stepping about 10 paces, and they were just like, you know, I don't think that, wonderful. I don't want them to remember me, but what I want them to do is remember that magic that happened. You know, that's a synchronicity. Yeah, lovely.